Family, I need you to lean in and hear me today, because what I'm about to share isn't just another message, it's a wake-up call. Please don't ignore this. It's real, and it will change everything. You see, too many people live like truth is optional, like reality bends to their feelings, like consequences can be postponed forever. But let me remind you, truth doesn't change just because you ignore it. Gravity is still gravity whether you believe in it or not. Fire is still fire even if you laugh while standing too close to the flame. And God's word is still God's word whether you agree with it or not. Please don't ignore this. It's real and it will change everything. Some of us are walking around building our lives on sand. We chase money, we chase power, we chase applause. But when the storm comes, and trust me, the storm always comes, those things won't hold you up. Your title won't hold you up. Your bank account won't hold you up. Your friends on social media won't hold you up. Only a life anchored in God's unshakable truth will stand. Please don't ignore this. It's real and it will change everything. Truth doesn't change just because you ignore it. You can close your eyes to it. You can cover your ears to it. You can even deny it with your lips. But truth remains steady, unshaken, unbothered by your refusal to accept it. It does not rise and fall with opinion polls. It does not shift because a crowd has gathered to agree on something different. It does not dissolve because you have chosen not to acknowledge it. Truth has a way of standing tall, even when everything else around it is collapsing. It is the anchor in the middle of the storm, the immovable foundation when the winds are blowing fierce. People have tried for centuries to silence truth, bury it, rewrite it, repackage it. But every time they try, it resurfaces with the same power and the same authority it has always had. The problem is never with the truth itself. The problem is with our willingness to face it. Ignoring truth doesn't make it disappear. It only blinds you to what is already in front of you. When a doctor tells a patient the diagnosis, the patient may say, "I don't want to hear that," but covering their ears doesn't erase the disease in their body. When a storm is brewing on the horizon, a person can look the other way, but that doesn't stop the rain from falling and the winds from blowing. When you leave a bill unpaid, pretending it doesn't exist won't prevent the collector from coming. Truth waits for no man, and truth bows to no man. It stands in the middle of history like a mountain, unmoved by the shifting sands of time. Many people live as though their feelings can rewrite reality. They think if they feel strongly enough, then somehow truth will adjust to accommodate them. But truth is not a servant to emotion. It does not bend under the weight of human desire. It doesn't matter if the majority rejects it, if culture tries to redefine it, or if individuals dismiss it as outdated. It remains unshaken because truth is grounded in the very character of God. When He speaks, His word becomes the ultimate measure of what is real, what is right, and what is lasting. The danger of ignoring truth is that you set yourself up for a collision. Just like a driver who ignores the stop sign, just like a builder who ignores the cracks in the foundation, just like a sailor who ignores the lighthouse warning of rocks ahead, there is always a price for pretending truth is not there. People may laugh for a season, they may feel comfortable for a while, but the bill always comes due. You cannot outrun reality. You cannot redefine consequences. Truth is not your enemy, it is your guide. And when you choose to ignore it, you are not silencing truth. You are silencing your own opportunity to be saved by it. Reality shows up whether you're ready or not. It doesn't knock politely at the door, asking for permission to enter. It doesn't wait until your schedule clears or until you feel strong enough to handle it. Reality doesn't care about convenience or comfort. It comes in its own time, in its own way, and it demands that you deal with it. You can prepare or you can procrastinate, but reality does not slow down for hesitation. It shows up in the quiet moments and in the loud ones, in the middle of your plans and in the middle of your chaos. It shows up in sickness, when you thought health was guaranteed, in loss when you assumed life would always go your way, in crisis when you believed stability was permanent. It arrives uninvited, but never uncertain. And when it does, it will either expose how well you built your life or how fragile your foundation really is. Some people live like they can outrun reality, as if delaying a decision means delaying the consequence. They bury their head in distractions, entertainment, or business, thinking that if they just stay occupied, what's real won't catch up to them. But reality is patient. It doesn't need to chase. It knows where you live. It knows your name. And sooner or later, it shows up on your doorstep. Just like the harvest comes after the seed is sown, reality comes after choices are made. You can't plant weeds and expect roses. You can't live recklessly and expect peace. You can't dismiss responsibility and expect reward. Reality is not mocked, and it is not delayed forever. You may hear people say, "I'll deal with it tomorrow." But tomorrow doesn't erase today's truth. Tomorrow doesn't cancel out the consequences of what was neglected. Tomorrow is not promised, but reality is. It doesn't ask for your approval, and it doesn't need your belief to exist. Whether you are ready or not, whether you believe it or not, whether you want it or not, reality arrives. And when it arrives, it does not come quietly. It comes with weight, with authority, with evidence that cannot be denied. That's why preparation matters. That's why awareness matters. Because if you're unprepared when reality comes, it doesn't wait for you to catch up. A student who ignores the class all semester can't beg reality for an extra week when the test is placed on the desk. A worker who wastes time on the job can't beg reality for another chance when the boss makes a decision. A soul that ignores truth can't beg reality to soften the blow when eternity is revealed. Reality exposes what is real, what is lasting, and what cannot be faked. And when it stands before you, it will not adjust to fit your excuses. It will not bend to meet your preferences. It will be what it is, and you will be forced to reckon with it. Building on sand will always collapse in the storm. You can design the most beautiful structure, decorate it with the finest materials, and impress everyone who sees it. But if the foundation is weak, the storm will expose it. A house may look strong in calm weather, but the real test of strength isn't in the sunshine, it's in the storm. And storms don't ask if you're ready. They don't announce themselves politely. They come with wind, with rain, with force, and they reveal what was hidden all along. The strength of the foundation is the only thing that matters when the storm arrives. Sand can look stable for a while. It can feel firm under your feet when the weather is calm. But sand shifts, sand moves, sand has no power to resist pressure. And when the storm beats against it, collapse is not a possibility, it is a guarantee. Many people build their lives on sand without even realizing it. They build on temporary pleasures, thinking that comfort will last forever. They build on money as if wealth can shield them from the storm. They build on relationships as if another person can carry the weight of their soul. They build on reputation as if the applause of people can keep the walls standing when the winds howl, and for a time, everything seems fine. The house stands tall, the exterior shines bright. People walk by and admire it. But storms don't care about appearances. Storms don't respect beauty. Storms reveal what you trusted in, and when the ground beneath you is unstable, no amount of decoration can stop the fall. The storm doesn't destroy what was strong, it only proves what was weak. That's why the storm is not your enemy, it's your revealer. It exposes the difference between a life built on sand and a life built on rock. When your security is tied to what shifts, you will collapse when it shifts. When your peace depends on circumstances, you will crumble when circumstances change. When your identity is rooted in opinions, you will fall apart when people turn against you. Sand cannot hold the weight of eternity. Sand cannot carry the pressure of life. Sand was never designed to be a foundation. The tragedy is not that storms come. The tragedy is that people spend years building on what was never able to last. They invest time, energy, and resources into structures that are doomed to fail because the ground beneath them was never solid. They confuse stability with temporary calm, not realizing that the real measure of strength is not how you look in stillness, but how you stand in shaking. The storm does not create weakness, it reveals it. It shows what was already true beneath the surface. And when the rain pours, when the winds blow, when the flood rises, the house on sand will collapse, no matter how impressive it once looked to the world. Only God's unshakable truth can hold you up. People search for stability in countless places: success, relationships, education, health, achievements, or even their own determination. For a while, those things may seem solid. They can provide a sense of security when life is smooth and predictable. But the moment chaos strikes, the moment storms rage, those supports reveal their weakness. Success can vanish overnight, relationships can shift, health can decline, and achievements can be forgotten. Human strength eventually wears down. None of these things are strong enough to carry the full weight of your soul when life presses hard against you. Only the unshakable truth of God has the strength, the permanence, and the authority to hold you steady when everything else is crumbling. Truth from God is not subject to human opinion. It does not depend on culture's approval, nor does it shift with time. What was true thousands of years ago remains true today because the source of that truth is eternal. God's word is not a suggestion, it is the very foundation of reality. When He declares something, it does not bend or break. It stands across generations, across nations, across the rise and fall of empires. It is not weakened by attack, and it is not silenced by denial. The storms of history have beaten against it. Skeptics have tried to bury it. Societies have tried to replace it. But it remains unshaken because it is rooted in the very nature of God, who does not change. People often try to build their own version of truth. They craft ideas that fit their desires. They redefine morality to suit their comfort. They create standards that excuse their choices. But anything we invent cannot outlast the storms of life. Personal truth collapses under the pressure of reality because it is built on preference, not permanence. What you want to be true will not hold you up when tragedy strikes. What culture says is true will not sustain you when eternity breaks through the temporary. The only thing that can stand in every season, in every test, and in every trial is God's truth. To be held up by God's truth means to be rooted in something immovable. It means when lies swirl around you, you are not shaken because you know what is real. It means when the world crumbles in confusion, you remain steady because your foundation is sure. It means when storms come against your life, you may feel the wind, you may hear the thunder, but you will not fall because your anchor is secure. His truth not only carries you, it shapes you, it guides you, it strengthens you. It gives direction when you feel lost, light when you walk through darkness, and hope when despair presses close. Every other foundation will eventually give way, but God's unshakable truth is the only thing that can hold you through it all. Ignoring the real always leads to regret. You can turn your back on what's true for a season. You can distract yourself with noise. You can cover up the conviction in your heart with excuses. But the day always comes when reality confronts you. Regret is the bitter fruit of pretending that truth does not matter. It is the sting of wasted time, of missed opportunities, of broken relationships, of choices made in rebellion that can never be undone. People think they can outrun reality, but what they end up outrunning is their own chance to live free from regret. They live for the moment, convinced that ignoring the real will make life easier, but all it does is set them up for pain when the consequences arrive. Regret is a heavy burden. It lingers in the mind, replaying the scenes of decisions made and chances lost. It whispers, "If only I had listened, if only I had paid attention, if only I had been honest with myself." Ignoring the real may feel comfortable in the short term, but comfort does not erase consequences. A person may ignore warning signs in their health, but regret comes when the diagnosis is too advanced to reverse. A parent may ignore the need to spend time with their children, but regret comes when the years are gone and the bond is broken. A soul may ignore the call of God, but regret comes when eternity proves that ignoring Him was the most costly choice of all. The truth is not meant to harm you, it is meant to save you. That's why ignoring it always leads to regret. The warning signs, the convictions, the messages you hear, they are not chains to restrict you, they are guardrails to protect you. But when you push past them, when you silence them, when you choose comfort over correction, regret will eventually meet you on the other side. The temporary thrill of ignoring reality never outweighs the long-term weight of regret. The laughter of the moment fades quickly, but the consequences echo loudly. People rarely regret listening to truth. They rarely regret making the hard but right choice. They rarely regret humbling themselves and facing what is real. But countless lives are filled with stories of regret because truth was ignored, marriages destroyed because warning signs were dismissed, futures derailed because discipline was neglected, souls tormented because God's call was silenced. Ignoring the real always looks easier in the moment, but it always costs more in the end. Regret is a teacher, but it is a harsh one. It teaches through pain, through loss, through consequences that cannot be undone. It reminds you that ignoring the real doesn't protect you, it exposes you. It doesn't give you freedom, it steals it. It doesn't save you time, it robs you of it. Every regret is a reminder that truth was present, truth was available, but truth was rejected. And when truth is rejected, regret is inevitable because ignoring the real never changes the real. It only delays the moment you're forced to face it. The world calls wrong right and right wrong. We live in a time where deception is not only accepted but celebrated. Darkness is dressed up as light, and lies are marketed as truth. What was once considered shameful is now paraded with pride, and what was once honored is now mocked and ridiculed. This reversal is not accidental, it is intentional. It is the natural result of hearts that have turned away from the foundation of God's truth. When people remove the standard of what is absolute, they create their own standards, and those standards always twist in favor of selfishness and sin. Right becomes wrong, wrong becomes right, and confusion reigns as people applaud what destroys them. The danger is subtle. Wrong rarely comes waving a flag announcing its evil intent. It comes disguised, dressed up in appealing words, packaged in slogans, softened with language that makes it sound harmless or even compassionate. It tells you that freedom means doing whatever you want, even if it enslaves you. It tells you that love means affirming everything, even if it leads people to destruction. It tells you that progress means abandoning God's design, even if that progress marches straight into ruin. And while the world claps and cheers, while culture celebrates rebellion as wisdom, the truth remains unchanged, even as it is mocked and rejected. When right is called wrong, those who choose to stand for truth are treated as enemies. To hold to God's word in such a world is to stand against the current. People will label you outdated, intolerant, narrow-minded, or hateful, not because you hate, but because you refuse to trade truth for lies. The pressure to conform is heavy, but the cost of compromise is heavier. If you bend with the world's definitions, you will fall with the world's collapse. What the world praises today, it will mourn tomorrow, because building on falsehood always ends in ruin. This reversal of right and wrong has real consequences. Families are fractured because God's order for the home is ignored. Communities are broken because honesty is replaced with corruption. Nations crumble because righteousness is abandoned for greed and power. Individuals suffer because the lie that promises freedom only delivers chains. And yet, even in the face of this destruction, the world continues to cheer for what is wrong and mock what is right. That is why discernment is essential. Without it, people are swept away by the current of popular opinion, blinded to the reality that they are applauding their own downfall. The enemy's greatest trick has always been to twist truth, just enough that it looks appealing. In the garden, the serpent didn't deny God's word outright. He distorted it. He took what was wrong and made it sound right. That same strategy is still at work today. The only way to see through it is to hold tightly to what God has said. Because when the world calls wrong right and right wrong, you cannot afford to lean on your own understanding. You cannot afford to drift with culture's tide. You must anchor yourself to the unchanging truth that does not bend with the times. Confusion celebrated as wisdom brings destruction. There has always been confusion in the world, but what makes this generation unique is that confusion is now exalted as if it were enlightenment. People take pride in not knowing what is real. They boast about creating their own versions of truth, as though uncertainty were a sign of brilliance. The more complex and unclear an idea is, the more people rush to call it deep. They call instability freedom, they call disorder progress, and they call rebellion wisdom. But confusion does not lead to life, it leads to destruction. You cannot walk a straight path if the ground beneath you is shifting. You cannot find peace in a maze that has no exit. When confusion is embraced as wisdom, the end is always chaos. The human heart was created to live in clarity. We were designed to walk with direction, to know right from wrong, to move with purpose. But when people reject the source of truth, they lose that clarity, and what fills the gap is confusion. They call it being open-minded, but what they are really doing is opening their minds to deception. They call it tolerance, but what they are tolerating is corruption. They call it freedom, but what they are experiencing is bondage disguised as choice. And because confusion has been painted in the colors of wisdom, it looks appealing on the surface, while underneath it is hollow and destructive. When confusion is praised, destruction is inevitable. Families fall apart because people no longer know what a family is supposed to be. Children grow up lost because the boundaries that were meant to guide them have been erased. Communities crumble because justice is redefined to fit selfish agendas. Nations weaken because leaders prefer the applause of people over the principles of truth. At every level of life, confusion that is celebrated as wisdom does not build. It tears down. It doesn't unite, it divides. It doesn't clarify, it darkens. The danger of confusion is that it doesn't always look dangerous. It often wears the mask of intelligence, creativity, or sophistication. It uses complicated words, new philosophies, and appealing presentations to make itself look legitimate. But no matter how impressive it sounds, confusion that rejects God's truth is still confusion. It cannot guide you to safety, it cannot protect you from storms, and it cannot give you the foundation your soul needs. All it can do is lead you further away from the path of life and deeper into destruction. True wisdom is never found in confusion. True wisdom is rooted in clarity, in the kind of truth that sets you free and gives you direction. When you celebrate confusion as wisdom, you are essentially applauding your own downfall. You are cheering for the very thing that will rob you of peace, of purpose, of stability. You are calling the disease health and wondering why you are growing weaker. You are drinking poison labeled as medicine and asking why you feel sick. Celebrating confusion as wisdom is not enlightenment, it is deception, and deception always destroys. Preparation today prevents devastation tomorrow. Life has a way of testing what you have built, and those tests do not come when it is convenient. They arrive suddenly, without warning, and in those moments your preparation, or your lack of it, becomes clear. A storm never asks if you are ready before it strikes. A fire never checks your schedule before it burns. Crisis never pauses to give you time to gather strength. That is why preparation matters now, not later. What you do today sets the foundation for how you will stand when tomorrow's trials come. If you invest in truth now, you will have stability later. If you ignore it, devastation will be waiting at your doorstep when the pressure rises. Preparation is not glamorous. It does not always get attention or applause. It often looks ordinary and unseen. Discipline in your habits, faithfulness in your commitments, consistency in your walk with God. It is easier to procrastinate, to say, I'll get serious tomorrow, but tomorrow is not promised. Preparation means choosing to sow seeds now that you may not see the fruit of until later. Farmers understand this. They plant in one season so that they can reap in another. They know that if they fail to plant when it is time, they cannot expect a harvest when the season changes. In the same way, preparation for life's storms cannot be delayed. You cannot wait until the rain is falling to start building your shelter. The devastation that comes without preparation is devastating because it could have been avoided. Many regrets are not the result of what people didn't know, but of what they knew and chose to ignore. They knew the cracks in the foundation needed fixing, but they waited. They knew their priorities were misplaced, but they kept delaying. They knew God was calling them closer, but they chose distraction instead. And then when the crisis arrived, when the storm hit, devastation swept through because preparation had been neglected. Preparation does not eliminate storms, but it equips you to endure them. It makes the difference between collapse and survival, between regret and resilience. Every day is an opportunity to prepare. Every decision is a step toward stability or toward collapse. The small choices you make now will become the structure you depend on later. Preparation today is a declaration that you believe reality is coming. It is proof that you take truth seriously enough to act before circumstances force you to. You may not feel the urgency now, but urgency will come when the trial does. The question is whether you will have built enough to stand when it arrives. Preparation demands sacrifice, but devastation demands more. Preparation asks you to deny yourself in the present, but devastation robs you in the future. Preparation requires faith because you are building for a day you cannot yet see, but devastation leaves you with nothing to hold on to. The cost of preparation may feel heavy now, but the cost of devastation is always greater. And while you may not control the storms that are coming, you do control whether you are ready for them when they arrive. Lies sound sweet but poison the soul. They come dressed in attractive words, smooth enough to comfort you, gentle enough to calm your fears, and persuasive enough to make you believe them. A lie rarely announces itself as a lie. It doesn't come screaming with horns and warning signs. It comes softly, with charm, with promises that feel good in the moment. It tells you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. And because it feels sweet, people swallow it quickly, without realizing that underneath its taste is a poison designed to destroy. Lies are deceptive because they feed your desire while robbing your future. They give temporary comfort but demand long-term destruction. The sweetness of a lie is in its ability to make wrong feel right. It assures you that there are no consequences, that compromise is harmless, that shortcuts will get you there faster. It convinces you that truth is too hard, too heavy, too restrictive, and that its easier path will lead to freedom. But the freedom it promises is an illusion. Behind its sweetness is a chain waiting to bind you, a trap waiting to catch you, a poison waiting to weaken you. The more you consume it, the more it spreads in your system until you no longer recognize truth from falsehood. Lies never deliver what they promise. They only delay the inevitable moment when reality shows up and exposes the deception. The tragedy is that many people prefer the sweetness of lies over the strength of truth. They don't want to be challenged, they want to be comforted. They don't want correction, they want affirmation. They would rather live in a pleasant illusion than face the discomfort of reality. But illusions cannot hold you when life breaks apart. Lies cannot save you when storms come. They only set you up for collapse. To choose a lie because it feels good is to drink poison because it tastes sweet. For a moment, it may satisfy your craving, but eventually it will kill your strength, your clarity, your soul. Lies are not just external, they are internal. They whisper to you in your own voice, telling you that you can handle sin without consequences, that you can ignore God and still find peace, that you can keep going your own way and everything will turn out fine. These are the most dangerous lies because they sound like self-confidence, but they are actually self-deception. And every time you believe them, the poison spreads deeper, clouding your judgment, dulling your conviction, and hardening your heart. The sweetness of lies is temporary, but the poison is lasting. Lies destroy trust in relationships. They destroy integrity and character. They destroy direction and purpose. They leave people empty, broken, and filled with regret. The only antidote to lies is truth. And though truth may be harder to swallow at first, it is the only thing that heals and strengthens the soul. Lies promise life but bring death. Truth may confront you, but it will also set you free. Lies poison quietly, but truth saves openly. And the choice between the two is a choice between temporary sweetness and lasting strength. What's real will confront you and change everything. Reality is not something you can hide from forever. You can deny it, you can dismiss it, you can try to drown it out with noise and distractions, but eventually it will stand before you with a force that cannot be ignored. Reality is not intimidated by your excuses, and it is not softened by your delays. It comes with the weight of truth, pressing against the illusions you have built, breaking apart the lies you have believed, and exposing the foundation of your life for what it truly is. When what is real confronts you, it strips away pretense and demands that you face the truth as it is, not as you wish it to be. The confrontation of reality is often uncomfortable because it collides with the stories you have told yourself. It reveals the gaps between what you claimed and how you lived. It uncovers the difference between what you hoped for and what you prepared for. It shows whether your confidence was rooted in truth or in illusions. And when that confrontation comes, everything changes. The masks fall off, the excuses lose power, and the pretense is shattered. What remains is the unfiltered truth that cannot be argued away. Some experience this confrontation in moments of crisis. A sudden loss, a broken relationship, a diagnosis, or a failure pulls back the curtain and forces them to face what they had ignored. Others encounter it in quieter ways, through conviction, through moments of reflection, through the whisper of God's voice reminding them that life built on lies cannot stand. However it arrives, The confrontation of reality is never optional. It will come, and when it comes, it changes everything. Change is inevitable when reality shows up, because reality demands alignment. It refuses to let you stay the same. You can either resist it and suffer, or submit to it and be transformed. Reality breaks the illusion of control and reminds you that there are forces greater than your own desires. It reveals the consequences of your actions, the weight of your decisions, and the truth of who you really are beneath the surface. It calls you out of denial and into clarity. And once clarity comes, you cannot go back to pretending you didn't see it. The power of reality is that it not only confronts you, it redirects you. It challenges you to let go of what is false and to build on what is true. It strips away temporary supports so that you can anchor yourself in something lasting. It pulls you out of deception and into freedom. And though the confrontation may be painful, the change it produces is necessary. What's real will not adjust itself to your comfort. It will demand that you adjust to it. And when you finally do, everything about how you live, how you see, and how you believe will be transformed, because what's real has the power not just to confront you, but to change everything about you. So hear me clearly. This is not about fear. It's about preparation. It's about aligning yourself with what's real so that when the shaking happens, you don't fall apart. When the fire comes, you don't burn up. When the enemy whispers lies, you don't swallow them whole. Please don't ignore this. It's real, and it will change everything.